Now that we have a three-dimensional object, we can go and make some modifications to it to kind of add some extra detail to it. So we're typically either adding to or subtracting off when we're doing 3D models. So in this case, we're going to want to do another sketch, a new sketch up here at the top edge. So we can actually come up here and do start new 2D sketch, choose that surface, and we would like to use this geometry that we'd already made, this rectangle already. So we're going to use project geometry. We're going to left click on the top of there, and then when we get off, we're going to notice that it's turned yellow. If we go and we make a line, so what we can actually do is we can come down here to this point, we can right click and we can say line, or remember we also have that line function up in the upper left corner. So I can choose a line, I can choose that point, I can come over here. If I could actually draw this out and make a line out here, but one of the things we can do is remember if we take a point and we kind of rub it around here over here, we can actually make this show up and make it coincident with that edge. So notice the coincident constraint comes up right over there, just slightly off to the right side. We click, and now if we were to change our view of this and rotate it around a little bit, we'd actually notice that it shows that yellow line brought up the geometry from below the slope up onto that line. So we now have that geometry there. So if I flatten this back out again, I now can go ahead and take out another line. So I can choose from here, but it's already selected, so I don't need to. So I can go from here, make another line, make it connect to this corner, and now I should see, if I right click and say, left click and say OK, then I can see that I have made a whole shape, a whole enclosed shape there, a whole triangle. So if I take that shape at this point, I can right click on it and I can say, sorry, we need to go up and finish sketch. I can go up here to go extrude, or I can right click inside of here and I can find extrude and choose my surface. Notice it's going to add onto the top. That's not really what we would like to do. So we want to make this go down, but we also want to make it go through. We actually want that to be a cut. So we want it to cut all the way through. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this, and we're going to say all, and instead of going down through, we're actually going to come up here and we're going to say cut. So we're going to make that cut through. Say OK, and now you're going to notice that we have cut through. So we have used that tool in order to project some geometry to make a cut to cut that surface. Now we'd like to add some more features to this sketch. We're going to try to make a little slot right down here at the end. So in order to do that, we need to have a plane down this from midpoint down through here, and we're going to make that parallel to this plane right here. So what we want to do is we want to use the plane. We want to choose our plane. It's going to automatically try to select some planes. We come and find our midpoint and click. Now we have a plane. On that plane we need to make a 2D sketch, so we're going to start 2D sketch, choose the plane, and we're going to be able to put a plane there. Now one of the issues is you can't see through this plane in order to see what you actually need to be doing. So we would like to remove this front part. So to do that, we can actually go over here and right click and we go slice graphics, and that will allow that to disappear. And you'll notice if we turn this just a little bit that it's actually just cut away the stuff that's at the front. If you want to come back, you can hit F7. That's the function key, or F7 and it's back away from it again. What we'd like to do is use the geometry of this shape and project it out. So we had project geometry earlier. If you'll notice it says project cut edges. It's another option under project geometry, project cut edges. If we choose that, it's going to project that geometry out towards us. If we come down here, we can now right click and we can say create a line. We can use that geometry that we have down here to select, and we'll undo that. We can use that geometry down here and say make our line and find our midpoint, and we can draw that up here, find a coincident with our other line, and find where our perpendicular's at and choose that. So now at that point, since we already projected that geometry out, we can go ahead and finish sketch. At this point, we're going to want to do an extrusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a cut extrusion. You're going to see, you're going to have to kind of watch there, but it shows up. We select it. We're going to want to go in both directions. We're going to go 1/10 of an inch, and instead of an extrude out, which will do nothing because we already have material there, we want to do a cut, and we want to say OK. Now you're going to notice that we have made a slice, a little slot inside of our part, and that's how we do it.